Today, once more, they will replenish themselves, cheat death again, through the power of their source.
Matt Stone, 180degreehealth.com.
Bonjour, this is Matt Stone from On 180 Degree Health. I have going to make a potato soup. The first step is to cut an onion. It's very dangerous to have your cutting board sliding around, but do not feel like taking the time to put a towel underneath the cutting board. I'm very reckless. Okay, I'll stop that. But I am making a Soupe Bonne Femme. Soupe Bonne Femme. Just a really easy soup. Just slice them rough. They don't have to be perfect. And then it's going to be this, potatoes, some milk, and then sort of some butter and cheese to finish it, almost as a garnish. But anyway, step one. Cut some onions. Step two, I got a nice chunk of butter in there. I would call that 2 or 3 tablespoons, enough to get some fat on all those onions as they go in. And this is them going in. This is kind of an additional step. I mean, really and truly, you could probably just cover the onions and potatoes with liquid and let them simmer. I do think it adds just a little bit more flavor to saute the onions just for a few minutes before starting, before adding liquid and the potatoes and all that good stuff. So anyway, that's the first step. Get those nice and translucent and go from there. Okie dokie. So we got these cooked down. You can kind of see there. Try not to get too much brown on them. You want the soup coming out, fairly white and purty. This is how many potatoes I have here. 7 medium-sized potatoes, and I would say it's not how many potatoes you use to how many onions, it's really the quantity. I would say that this is at least 3 to 1 potatoes to onions, and which still may not be enough to sort of cut the onion, but it's close enough for me. As long as you've got considerably more potatoes than onions, I think you got a good balance between the two. Anyway, you see that's nice and full now. Those are regular Yukon Gold potatoes, my personal fave. And you can cook it in half and half, which would be good. I'm going to cook it actually in skim milk, mostly because I want that buttery taste, and I don't want to exceed my fat quota with half and half. If I can, skim milk allows me to use a little bit of extra butter. So I'm going to use some extra butter at the end. Probably enough. I'm going to cut it with a little bit of water too, so it's not just purely cooking in skim milk. And then you just cook it until it's really nice and tender. Puree it, butter it, and then give it a little cheese garnish. Let the big block of cheese melt in each bowl of soup. I'll show you all this stuff as we go through it. But that's basically all there is to it. It's not too tricky. And just a little bit more to totally cover it. Put a lid on it, simmer it for maybe an hour or so at least, and it should be ready to puree. And I'll show you all those steps coming up. All right, this is kind of what we're looking at here. I cooked it with the lid off and let the flavors concentrate a little bit. Let some of that liquid reduce. If you let it reduce too much, you basically make mashed potatoes when you puree it. You can always thicken it by adding liquid if you need to. It's very hard to make it thicker. So I'd err on the side of it being slightly too thick. Anyway, I'm going to puree it, and I'll show you the finished product with a nice little hunk of spicy ass cheese on it right when I serve it. Now we're getting there. So you can see you got a nice soup here. I'm going to melt in these nice chunks of butter. It's another several tablespoons. And I'm going to stir it so that they stay emulsified and just sort of become part of the soup, making it more silky, better mouthfeel, just overall tastier. And it is salted butter, so we'll season it up. I will salt it at the very end until it's just right, and then serve it in a bowl with some cheese on it, as you'll see in a moment. And there we go, just beautiful spicy ass cheese, some pepper jack. Just kind of lay it in there and let it melt and get gooey, and that is one fine bowl of soup right there.
Subscribe to the 180 Degree Health channel now, or you will be abducted by lesbian Nazi hookers from outer space and forced into a weight loss program.
It doesn't matter what you had for lunch.